Have you ever walked into a room and felt like people didn't take you seriously? Like no matter what you say or do, respect just seems to slip away? It's frustrating, right? Well, here's the hard truth. It's often not about what we say, but about the habits we unconsciously develop. And the worst part? We don't even realize these habits are sabotaging us. I've been there. I know what it feels like to unknowingly push people away, to wonder why certain friendships or professional relationships don't seem to stick. But the good news? Awareness is the first step toward change. Once you identify these toxic behaviors, you can start eliminating them one by one. Today, we're diving deep into 7 damaging habits that instantly cause people to lose respect for you. These are the small yet powerful behaviors that might be silently undermining your reputation, limiting your potential, and creating invisible barriers between you and the success you deserve. Some of these might surprise you. Some might even sting a little. But if you want to be someone who commands respect, someone whose presence is valued rather than dismissed, then it's time to take a hard look at what might be holding you back. So are you ready to uncover the habits that could be quietly destroying your credibility? Let's break them down one by one and reclaim the respect you deserve with the Top Stoic channel. No one. Gossiping, the silent killer of respect. I read somewhere that Marcus Aurelius said that, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." At first glance, gossiping might seem harmless. It's just a little chit-chat, a small indulgence in sharing details about someone who isn't present. A quick remark here, a funny story there. But in reality, gossip is one of the most destructive habits you can develop, one that instantly erodes the respect people have for you. We've all been in the situations where a casual conversation takes a turn towards someone else's personal life. Maybe it's a colleague's embarrassing mistake or a friend's recent struggles. You might think you're just participating in a normal discussion, but what you're actually doing is damaging your own credibility. The moment you engage in gossip, people don't just judge the person you're talking about. They judge you. Think about it. If you're willing to discuss someone else's flaws behind their back, what's stopping you from doing the same to anyone else? The people listening to you might smile, nod, or even add to the conversation, but deep down they're wondering, what do they say about me when I'm not around? The hidden cost of gossip. One of the most dangerous aspects of gossip is how subtle and easy it is. It often masquerades as connection, a way to bond with others or feel included in a group. But in reality, it does the opposite. It creates distrust. The more you gossip, the less people trust you with their personal lives. It weakens relationships. What takes years to build can be destroyed in minutes. It reflects insecurity, not strength. Gossiping about others often means avoiding your own self-improvement. Seneca, the famous Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness." Gossip is the easy road, a shortcut to feeling important in the moment. But the long-term cost, it ruins your integrity and drags you down into pettiness. Instead of elevating yourself through wisdom, empathy, and character, gossip reduces you to someone who relies on tearing others down to feel relevant. And that's not a quality people respect. Why do we gossip? If you catch yourself about to gossip, ask yourself, why do I feel the need to share this? More often than not, it's because we seek validation. We want to be liked, to be part of a group, to feel like we have something interesting to say. But true respect isn't earned by exposing someone else's weaknesses. It's earned through strength of character. And in today's world, gossip isn't just a personal problem. It's a professional and social liability. Workplace gossip can ruin your career. A careless remark about a boss or coworker can come back to haunt you. Online gossip spreads faster than ever, A single comment or post can be screenshot, shared, and amplified in ways you never intended. Family and friendships suffer when people feel they can't trust you. Have you ever noticed that certain people seem to keep you at a distance, or that some relationships feel shallow? It could be because they've seen you gossip, and now they hesitate to share their real thoughts and feelings with you. People may laugh when you share a juicy detail, but underneath, they're building walls of mistrust. They don't hate you, they just no longer trust you. And once trust is gone, it's nearly impossible to get back. Gossip is a distraction from growth. Every time you talk about someone else's mistakes, you're avoiding your own. It's easier to analyze someone else's life than to take an honest look at your own. But what do you gain from it? Nothing of value. Seneca also said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." When you gossip, you're wasting your today. You're avoiding the hard work of self-improvement, replacing it with the fleeting satisfaction of judging others. It's a cheap distraction from the meaningful actions that actually make life fulfilling. The modern-day consequences of gossip is more dangerous than ever in the digital age. Social media amplifies every word you say. A single careless remark can damage your reputation permanently, lead to misunderstandings and conflicts that never go away, cause legal or professional consequences. Workplace gossip, for example, can lead to HR complaints or even job loss. We've all seen situations where a small rumor spirals into a bigger issue, shattering friendships, careers, or reputations. The question is, why risk it? Why trade your integrity for a moment of relevance? How to stop gossip before it starts breaking? The gossip habit isn't easy, but it's possible. The next time someone tries to pull you into a gossip session, redirect the conversation. Instead of engaging, you can say something like, "I'd rather not talk about them when they're not here to explain themselves. That's their business. I don't really know the full story. Let's talk about something more positive." By doing this, you set yourself apart. You become the person who rises above petty talk, and that kind of strength earns real respect. Resisting gossip makes you a leader. Choosing not to gossip isn't just about avoiding negativity. It's about becoming someone others admire. In every conversation, you have a choice. Do you want to be the person people respect for their wisdom, strength, and integrity? Or do you want to be known as the person who can't be trusted with a secret? Epicurus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The wisdom in that is clear. If you listen more and gossip less, people will trust you more. They'll come to you for advice, support, and real connection, not just empty words. And isn't that far more rewarding? The final lesson: focus on your own growth. Marcus Aurelius gave the ultimate advice. Waste no more time on what others do or say. It's your own actions that should concern you. By cutting gossip from your life, you can build stronger, more meaningful relationships. You can earn respect rather than constantly losing it. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all striving for? Next, number 2, being passive. Number 2, being passive-aggressive, the silent relationship killer. We've all encountered passive-aggressive behavior at some point, whether in ourselves or others. It's that moment when someone asks, "Are you okay?" And the response is a cold, "I'm fine," even though it's painfully obvious they're not fine at all. Or when you reluctantly agree to help a friend, but instead of openly expressing frustration, you make sarcastic remarks or give them the silent treatment. At first glance, Passive aggressiveness might seem like a harmless coping mechanism, a way to express dissatisfaction without direct confrontation. But in reality, it's one of the most toxic habits you can have. It creates confusion, damages relationships, and worst of all, makes people lose respect for you instantly. Why passive aggressiveness is so harmful? Passive aggressiveness is, at its core, a failure to communicate openly and honestly. It's an indirect way of expressing frustration, anger, or resentment, one that leaves the people around you feeling frustrated, confused, and sometimes even guilty for something they didn't realize they did. The problem? No one can read your mind. If you expect people to pick up on your subtle hints or decode your sarcasm, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And when they don't get it, resentment builds. It's a vicious cycle. You feel upset but don't express it openly. You make sarcastic or passive-aggressive comments. The other person doesn't understand or gets defensive. You feel even more unheard, making you act even more passive-aggressively. It's emotionally exhausting, not just for the people around you, but for yourself as well. The Stoic perspective. Why passive aggressiveness is weakness. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This applies directly to passive-aggressive behavior. When you react to situations with indirect hostility, instead of addressing the issue head-on, you are not controlling your emotions. You are letting your emotions control you. Instead of dealing with problems maturely, you push them aside, hoping others will magically understand what's wrong. But avoidance isn't strength. It's a sign of emotional immaturity.
Being direct and honest about how you feel is difficult, but it's also necessary for growth, whether in personal relationships or in professional life. Avoiding confrontation through passive-aggressive behavior only leads to more misunderstandings, resentment, and broken trust. The real-world consequences of passive aggressiveness. To illustrate how damaging this habit can be, let me share a story. I once had a friend, let's call him John. Whenever something upset him in his relationship, he wouldn't bring it up directly. Instead, he'd start giving his partner the cold shoulder or making snarky comments like, "Oh, I guess it's too much to ask for help around here." His partner, confused, would ask, "What's wrong?" But John would just shrug and say, "Nothing." Over time, this pattern eroded their relationship. His partner started walking on eggshells, never knowing if John was actually okay or just bottling up resentment. Eventually, she stopped engaging in serious conversations altogether. Why? Because it was exhausting trying to decode his hidden meanings all the time. By the time John realized how his passive aggressiveness was pushing his partner away, it was almost too late. He had to learn the hard way that open and honest communication is the foundation of any strong relationship. Now, take a moment and think. How many of your relationships, whether romantic, friendships, or professional, have suffered because of passive aggressiveness? Have people distanced themselves from you because they found it too tiring to figure out what you were really trying to say? When you engage in passive-aggressive behavior, people sense that something is wrong, but they're left in the dark about why. Instead of fostering understanding, you're breeding confusion and resentment. And that is why passive-aggressiveness destroys respect. How to break free from passive-aggressiveness. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, stop hiding behind emotional games. If something is bothering you, address it calmly and directly. Next time you feel the urge to send a passive-aggressive text like, "Wow, must be nice to have so much free time," ask yourself, what am I really trying to say? Why can't I just be honest about how I feel? The truth is, passive aggressiveness is often rooted in fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of being vulnerable, fear of conflict. But here's the thing. Conflict isn't always bad. Healthy conflict, when handled with respect and openness, can actually strengthen relationships. When you avoid direct conversations, you're not protecting the relationship, you're damaging it. You're teaching people that they can't trust you to be honest. And in return, they'll start withholding their own thoughts and feelings from you. Passive aggressiveness in the workplace. Passive aggressiveness isn't just damaging in personal relationships, it's a career killer too. Imagine you're at work, and a colleague fails to pull their weight on a project. Instead of addressing the issue professionally, you start sending them snarky emails, avoiding collaboration with them, making sarcastic remarks in team meetings. You might think you're handling the situation without making a fuss, but in reality, you're creating a toxic work environment. No one wants to work with someone who plays emotional games instead of resolving issues directly. Respected leaders don't engage in passive aggressiveness. They confront problems head on. The path to earning more respect. So here's the big question. How would your relationships change if you stopped being passive aggressive and started being straightforward? What would happen if, instead of bottling up your frustrations, you addressed them in the moment, with honesty and kindness? The answer might surprise you. People will respect you more. They'll see you as someone who is emotionally mature and capable of handling tough conversations. They'll feel safer around you, knowing they don't have to decode hidden meanings or endure passive-aggressive jabs. Passive aggressiveness only hurts you and those around you. It's a mask, a way to avoid the discomfort of being vulnerable. But in the process, it creates more harm than good. To live a life of integrity, as the Stoics advise, we must be willing to face the truth, both in ourselves and in others. Final thought. Choose clarity over confusion. As Epictetus wisely put it, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. By holding onto passive-aggressive behavior, we fool ourselves into thinking we're avoiding conflict. But in reality, we're avoiding growth. The next time you feel tempted to make a sarcastic remark or give someone the silent treatment, pause and ask yourself, what am I really trying to achieve? Could this issue be resolved with an open, honest conversation? Most of the time, the answer is yes. By replacing passive aggression with clarity, honesty, and directness, you won't just improve your relationships, you'll also earn the respect of those around you. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? Next. Number 3. Never taking responsibility. Number 3. The self-sabotaging habit of avoiding responsibility. One of the most damaging yet overlooked habits that silently erodes respect is the refusal to take responsibility. It's a behavior that not only strains relationships but also hinders personal growth and success. We've all encountered someone who always has an excuse if they miss a deadline. It's because someone didn't give them the right information. If they fail at something, it's never their fault. it's always bad timing, unfair circumstances, or someone else's mistake. Maybe, at times, you've even caught yourself doing the same. But here's the hard truth. Constantly shifting blame sends a loud message to the world. You're not in control of your own life. Why avoiding responsibility is a sign of weakness, not strength. Think about how often you've heard someone say, "It wasn't my fault," or "If only things had been different, I would have succeeded." While these statements might provide temporary comfort, they do nothing to change reality. More importantly, they rob you of the opportunity to learn and improve. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the essence of responsibility. Life will always throw challenges your way. You will face setbacks. People will disappoint you. Circumstances won't always be ideal. But the defining factor isn't what happens, it's how you respond. Those who refuse to own up to their mistakes not only stunt their own development but also weaken their ability to influence their own future. Consider this. When you constantly blame external forces, you are essentially declaring yourself powerless. But that's simply not true. You have far more control over your life than you realize. The moment you accept responsibility for your successes and failures alike, you reclaim your power. The mindset of high achievers. A lesson from Michael Jordan. If you want to understand the power of taking ownership, look at one of the greatest athletes of all time, Michael Jordan. He wasn't just a naturally gifted player, he was someone who embraced failure, learned from it, and used it as fuel to get better. Jordan once said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times. I was trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." Imagine if Jordan had blamed his coaches, teammates, or referees every time he lost a game. He wouldn't have become a legend. Instead, he took full responsibility for every missed shot, every mistake, and every defeat. And that mindset, owning failures and learning from them, is what set him apart from the rest. Now, ask yourself, what could you achieve if you stopped making excuses and started taking full responsibility for everything in your life? Both good and bad? Why taking responsibility makes you respected and trusted. Taking responsibility doesn't mean beating yourself up over mistakes. It means acknowledging your role in situations and using that awareness to grow. It's about recognizing that you are in charge of your own success. When you hold yourself accountable, people take notice. They see you as someone who is dependable, self-aware, and strong. On the other hand, those who consistently avoid responsibility often find themselves alienated. Friends, colleagues, and even family members begin to withdraw. Why? Because people don't want to deal with someone who is always making excuses. Trust erodes when people realize that you will never own up to your actions. This is especially true in professional environments. Leaders, the ones who earn respect and climb the ranks, are the people who step up and take responsibility. Even when it's difficult. Imagine you're at work and a project fails. Instead of admitting your mistakes, you start blaming your team, the lack of resources, or bad timing. How do you think that looks to your boss or colleagues? You might think you're protecting yourself, but in reality, you're ruining your credibility. No one trusts a leader who dodges accountability. Facing reality, the first step toward growth. The philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that things are difficult." Avoiding responsibility is often a defense mechanism, an attempt to shield yourself from discomfort. But ironically, by dodging accountability, you make things even harder for yourself in the long run. The more you run from responsibility, the more obstacles you create. Instead of making excuses for failed relationships, missed opportunities, or career setbacks, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? How can I improve so that this doesn't happen again? Shifting your mindset from blame to growth is what separates those who struggle from those who succeed. Owning your life. The key to true freedom. Taking responsibility isn't about striving for perfection, it's about striving for honesty. It's about recognizing your mistakes, learning from them, and making better choices moving forward. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, put it best: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And that's where real power lies. So the next time you find yourself ready to make an excuse, pause. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I take ownership of this situation and turn it into an opportunity for growth? By doing this, you won't just gain the respect of others, you'll gain a deeper sense of self-respect. Final thought. Are you ready to take control? At the end of the day, responsibility isn't a burden, it's a gateway to freedom. The moment you stop making excuses and start taking ownership of your life, everything changes. Your relationships improve, your career flourishes, your confidence grows. So, what's holding you back from taking that first step today? Number 4. The silent killer of respect, neglecting basic hygiene. Let's talk about something that seems so simple, yet can instantly destroy how people perceive you: a lack of basic hygiene. Most of us take hygiene for granted, assuming it's just common sense. But nothing makes a worse impression than encountering someone who neglects personal cleanliness. Whether it's unkempt hair, wrinkled clothes that look like they were pulled from the floor, or body odor that makes people step back, poor hygiene speaks volumes before you even say a word. You might not even realize it, but failing to take care of yourself sends a message, not only about how you view yourself but also about how much, or how little, you respect those around you. And make no mistake, this silent destroyer doesn't just affect first impressions, it can sabotage your reputation, damage relationships, and even limit opportunities in both your personal and professional life. More than just appearance, what poor hygiene says about you. People may not openly tell you that your hygiene is a problem, but they will adjust their behavior. They might avoid sitting too close, cut conversations short, or stop inviting you to social events. It's rarely about disliking you as a person. It's the discomfort they feel in your presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In a way, your outward appearance reflects the state of your inner world. If you neglect something as simple as personal hygiene, what else in your life is slipping through the cracks? Are you also neglecting discipline, responsibility, or self-respect? Hygiene isn't just about looking good or smelling pleasant, it's about self-care. self-respect, and discipline. These qualities are at the heart of Stoic philosophy. If you struggle to commit to something as basic as keeping yourself clean and presentable, how will you handle bigger challenges in life? The foundation of self-respect and first impressions. Like it or not, first impressions matter, sometimes more than anything else. Before you even say a word, people judge you based on what they see. This is especially true in a world where we're constantly meeting new people. Whether in job interviews, business meetings, or social gatherings. But hygiene isn't just about how you look, it's about how you make people feel. Poor hygiene can create discomfort, distraction, and even social avoidance. And while no one may openly tell you, they will notice. You might think, it's just a bad hair day. Or, I skipped a shower once or twice. It's no big deal. But that's exactly where the problem starts. What begins as a one-time thing can slowly turn into a habit. And habits, as we know from Stoic wisdom, shape who we become. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want to be respected, if you want to be taken seriously, it starts with mastering the small, daily habits. Something as simple as keeping yourself clean and well-groomed isn't about vanity. It's about discipline and self-care. The professional consequences of poor hygiene. Now, let's look at hygiene in a professional setting. Imagine you're giving an important presentation at work, but instead of listening to your ideas, people are distracted by your disheveled appearance or an unpleasant odor. It doesn't matter how intelligent or talented you are, if people are too focused on your lack of hygiene. Your message gets lost. In reality, people judge what they see and smell first. It's human nature. We are visual and sensory creatures. And perception plays a major role in how we evaluate someone's credibility. By neglecting basic hygiene, you are putting up unnecessary barriers between yourself and success. Hygiene and mental well-being, a reflection of inner discipline. Neglecting hygiene often isn't just about laziness, it can be a reflection of stress, depression, or feeling overwhelmed by life. When people struggle emotionally, self-care is often the first thing to slip. But here's where Stoic philosophy offers guidance. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, even when life feels chaotic." One of the simplest ways to reclaim control is to take care of yourself. Something as basic as showering, grooming, or putting on clean clothes can shift your mindset and help you regain a sense of order. Maintaining hygiene, even during difficult times, is an act of self-discipline, a reminder that no matter what happens, you are in control of yourself. Small actions, big impact. Why hygiene matters more than you think. Taking care of your hygiene doesn't require an extraordinary effort. It's not about luxury or perfection, it's about basic self-respect. Shower regularly. Brush your teeth. Wear clean clothes. Groom yourself. These are small, daily actions, but they make a huge impact on how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. Ask yourself this: how much more confident would you feel if you showed up every day looking and feeling your best? How different would your interactions be if you knew your appearance and hygiene reflected the respect you have for yourself and those around you? The difference can be profound. People notice these things, and while they may never say it outright, They appreciate it when someone takes care of the details, especially something as fundamental as hygiene. Hygiene is a reflection of character and self-discipline. At its core, personal hygiene isn't just about preventing bad smells or looking sharp, it's a reflection of inner discipline, respect for others, and commitment to self-improvement. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Keeping yourself in check, even with something as simple as hygiene, is part of the ongoing trial of self-improvement. It's one of those small, daily acts that, when practiced consistently, earns respect, both from others and from yourself. Final thought. Show up as your best self. At the end of the day, hygiene isn't just about appearances, it's about showing the world, and yourself, that you care. That you take yourself seriously. That you respect the people around you. It's a small effort with a massive impact. So, the next time you step out the door, ask yourself, am I presenting myself as someone worthy of respect? Because whether you realize it or not, the answer to that question starts with the basics. Number 5. The habit that silently destroys respect: constant complaining. Let's talk about a habit that's easy to slip into, yet one of the fastest ways to make people lose respect for you: constant complaining. At first, it might not seem like a big deal. After all, we all have bad days, and sometimes venting can feel like a release. But when complaining becomes your go-to response to life, it sends a clear message. You're not looking for solutions. You're choosing to stay stuck in negativity. This doesn't just affect you. Complaining drains energy, pushes people away, and creates a negative aura that others instinctively avoid. No one enjoys being around someone who always focuses on what's wrong. And worse, the more you complain, the more you train your brain to seek out negativity, reinforcing a cycle of dissatisfaction. How complaining rewires your mind. If you constantly criticize the weather, your job, or the behavior of others, you're unconsciously shaping your mind to notice flaws before anything else. Over time, people around you start associating you with this negativity. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Life will always throw challenges your way, but your response to them is what defines you, not the obstacles themselves. The workplace complainer, a case study in negativity. Think about that person at work who always has something to complain about. Maybe it's the workload, the boss, or even the office temperature. At first, their grievances might seem harmless, maybe even relatable. But over time, it gets exhausting. You start avoiding them because every conversation drains your energy. Here's the real danger. If you spend too much time around a chronic complainer, their negativity rubs off on you. Complaining is contagious. Without realizing it, you might start adopting the same mindset, finding faults in everything, and turning into someone others avoid. What starts as the occasional gripe can spiral into a toxic habit, warping your perspective until all you see is what's wrong rather than what's possible. Why complaining keeps you stuck in the problem? Here's where constant complaining becomes more than just annoying. It actually prevents personal growth. When you're always complaining, you're stuck in the problem. Instead of asking, "How can I fix this?" your mind focuses on, "Why is this happening to me?" This victim mindset makes challenges seem insurmountable, keeping you in a loop of frustration without progress. The man who complained his way into isolation. Consider a man who hated his job. Every day, he told his friends how terrible his workplace was. His boss was too demanding. His coworkers were lazy, and his pay was unfair. For years, he complained, but never took action. He didn't look for another job, negotiate a raise, or improve his skills. He just stayed in the same place, talking about how miserable he was instead of doing anything about it. Eventually, his friends grew tired of hearing the same complaints. They stopped hanging out with him, avoiding conversations that felt like broken records. The result? He wasn't just miserable at work, his negativity pushed away his support system. The worst part? He never realized that his own complaining was the root of his unhappiness and isolation. Breaking free from the cycle of complaining. Have you ever caught yourself trapped in a cycle of negativity? Maybe you're frustrated with your job, your relationships, or daily life stress. It's easy to fall into the habit of voicing every little thing that goes wrong. But here's the truth. People respect those who seek solutions, not those who dwell on problems. More importantly, you will respect yourself more when you start facing challenges with resilience instead of complaints. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. Marcus Aurelius put it best: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, the next time you're about to complain, ask yourself, is this something I can change? If not, how can I accept it and move forward? This simple shift in perspective empowers you, improving both your self-discipline and how others perceive you. Complaining is a self-inflicted roadblock. Complaining doesn't just hurt your relationships, it also holds you back from personal success. When you constantly vocalize your frustrations, you're essentially telling yourself, and everyone around you, that you're a victim of circumstances, powerless to change your situation. But that's not true. The Stoics remind us that while we can't control everything in life, we always have power over our mindset. Instead of seeing challenges as obstacles, start viewing them as opportunities for growth. This shift in perspective can transform how you approach life and how others perceive you. Be the person who brings strength, not negativity. Think about a time when something really frustrated you, maybe a traffic jam, a rude coworker, or an unexpected setback. In those moments, the easiest reaction is to sigh and complain. But what if, instead, you took a deep breath and accepted the situation calmly? How different would your day have been? How different would your interactions have been? How much more in control would you have felt? More importantly, how would others around you feel if they saw you handling stress with calmness instead of complaints? This is the power of Stoic philosophy in action, choosing how we respond to life's challenges. Complaining gets you nowhere, so rise above it. At the end of the day, complaining doesn't fix problems. It doesn't make you feel better. It doesn't earn you respect. And it certainly doesn't help you move forward. What does earn respect is your ability to checkmark face challenges head on. Checkmark seek solutions instead of focusing on problems. Checkmark accept what you cannot change and move forward. So, the next time you catch yourself about to complain, Take a pause and reflect. Is this helping me in any way? If the answer is no, then shift your mindset. Focus on what you can control, what you can do, and how you can rise above the situation. Final thought. Live the philosophy. Don't just speak it. As Epictetus wisely said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Be the person who lives with strength, resilience, and positivity, not the one who constantly drags others down with complaints. When you embrace this mindset, not only will others respect you more, but you'll also feel more in control of your life. And that's true power. So, the next time you feel the urge to complain, step back and ask yourself, how can I rise above this? Because that's where real growth begins. Number 6. The hidden cost of chronic lateness. Few habits silently erode respect like being chronically late. You might think that arriving a few minutes late here and there isn't a big deal. But over time, it sends a message, one you might not intend to give. When you are consistently late, whether for work, social events, or even casual meetups, what you're really communicating is, my time is more important than yours. You may not mean it that way, but that's how others perceive it. People who once respected you, or wanted to, will begin questioning whether you respect them in return. It doesn't matter how valid your reasons are. When lateness becomes a pattern, it damages your reliability, making others feel like they can't depend on you. And when people stop trusting your word, their respect for you begins to fade. The philosopher Seneca put it perfectly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Chronic lateness is a form of wasting time, not just yours, but also the time of those who wait for you. Why people start planning around your lateness? You might think, I don't mean to be late. Life just gets in the way. And sure, unexpected things happen, but when lateness becomes the norm rather than the exception, it changes how people interact with you. If your friends, coworkers, or colleagues expect you to be late, they start planning around it. Meetings start without you. Invitations come with an unspoken assumption that you'll be late if you show up at all. People stop relying on you for time-sensitive things. This is not the reputation you want. Compare that to how it feels when people know they can count on you. Being punctual shows respect for others and for your own commitments. And when people see that you take your promises seriously, their trust in you grows. Punctuality reflects discipline, and discipline is the foundation of respect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Being on time is a simple yet powerful way to show integrity. It demonstrates that you respect yourself and others, and people notice. The stress you create for yourself. Think about the times you've been late. Did you underestimate how long it would take to get ready? Did you get distracted and lose track of time? Did you procrastinate leaving because you thought you had more time? Now think about the result. Chronic lateness doesn't just inconvenience others, it creates stress for you too. When you're constantly rushing, your day feels chaotic. You're always playing catch up, always apologizing, always under pressure. Instead of being fully present, you're mentally distracted, thinking about how to recover lost time. This stress spills into your work performance, relationships, and overall peace of mind. And for what? A habit that you can control. So ask yourself, what would my day look like if I planned ahead and gave myself enough time? How much calmer, more confident, and in control would I feel? The CEO who walked out. There's a story about a highly successful CEO who was known for his strict punctuality. No matter the meeting, big or small, he was always on time. One day, an important meeting was scheduled, but several attendees were running late. The CEO looked at his watch, stood up, and said, "Time is the most valuable resource we have. If you can't respect that, you can't be part of this team." And then he walked out. The latecomers were shocked. They had expected him to wait. Instead, they felt the weight of their mistake. This story highlights something important. Successful people take time seriously. When you respect time, you signal that you value yourself, your commitments, and the people around you. That's the mindset that separates leaders from the rest. What your lateness says about you, whether you realize it or not. People interpret chronic lateness in different ways. Disorganized, you can't manage your own schedule. Unreliable, they can't count on you to show up when it matters. Disrespectful, you don't value their time as much as your own. None of these are qualities that earn respect. Now, if you recognize this habit in yourself, it's time to ask, small diamond, why am I always late? Small diamond, am I overcommitting? Small diamond, I underestimate how long things take. Lateness isn't just about setting your alarm earlier. It's about shifting your mindset. It's about treating punctuality as a form of respect for yourself and for others. Remember, being on time is a habit, just like anything else, and it's a habit you can develop with awareness and discipline. The power of being dependable. There's a saying, early is on time is late is unacceptable. When you stop seeing time as something that happens to you and start seeing it as something you control, everything changes. Imagine if you were known as someone who is always on time. People would trust you more. They would rely on you. They would respect you. Punctuality isn't just about managing time. It's about showing that you follow through on your commitments. On the flip side, if you're always late, people start to feel that they can't count on you. And once that perception sets in, it's hard to change. Time is precious. Don't waste it. The lesson is simple. Time is valuable. For both you and those around you. Chronic lateness destroys respect, but punctuality builds it. It shows discipline, integrity, and responsibility, traits that make people admire and trust you. As Epictetus wisely said, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. If you see yourself as someone worthy of respect, then act in a way that commands it. And one of the simplest ways to do that is by showing up on time. So, the next time you're tempted to leave just a little later or squeeze in one more task before heading out, ask yourself, is this really worth the impression it will leave? When you choose punctuality, you choose to be someone others can depend on. And that's a reputation that will take you far in life. Your challenge: level up. If you've read this far, you're already on the path to self-improvement. Drop a comment saying, "I am leveling up," to show your commitment to becoming more disciplined, reliable, and respected. Because your journey to self-mastery doesn't end here. There's more to discover, and it starts with showing up on time. Number 7. Escaping the victim mindset, reclaiming your power. There's a silent habit that, whether we realize it or not, can slowly destroy the respect people have for us. It's not something obvious like being rude or unreliable, but it's just as damaging. That habit is playing the victim. It's easy to fall into this mindset, especially when life doesn't go as planned. When we face setbacks, challenges, or unfair situations, the temptation to shift blame onto external forces or other people is strong. It's a natural response because it makes us feel less responsible for what's happening. If it's not our fault, then we don't have to change anything. But here's the problem. Constantly seeing yourself as the victim makes people lose respect for you. Why? Because, over time, you're sending a message to the world. I have no control over my own life. And if you don't believe you have control, why should anyone else believe in you? The truth about control, your power lies within. One of the greatest Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is one of the most life-changing ideas you can embrace. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. The victim mentality often starts small, complaints about life's unfairness. You didn't get the promotion you wanted? It's because the system is rigged. Your relationship didn't work out? It's because people always betray you. You struggle financially? It's because society is designed to keep you down. At first, these thoughts seem harmless. They might even feel justified. But the more you embrace them, the more powerless you feel. Eventually, this mindset becomes a trap. You start believing that your entire life is controlled by outside forces. That you are just a passenger, instead of the driver of your own destiny. But here's the reality. People respect those who take ownership of their lives, even when things go wrong. People admire those who rise above challenges instead of being consumed by them. When you blame others for your problems, it tells the world that you lack the courage to face life head-on. And that's a hard person to admire, trust, or want to be around. The energy drain. Why people avoid victims. Have you ever met someone who always complains about how life is unfair? Their boss is unfair. Their family doesn't support them. The world is against them. At first, you might sympathize, but over time, it becomes exhausting to listen to. Their negativity is draining. Before long, you find yourself avoiding their calls or steering clear of conversations with them. And here's the harsh truth. If you constantly play the victim, people won't want to be around you. Why? Because your energy brings them down. Think about the people you respect the most. Are they the ones who complain about how unfair life is? Or are they the ones who, despite setbacks, push forward, adapt, and take action? The answer is clear. A different mindset. Becoming the author of your life. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim, Stoicism offers a powerful shift in perspective. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This is a game changer. When you stop focusing on what's out of your control and start focusing on what you can control, everything changes. Your thoughts, your actions, your responses. The moment you embrace this, you go from being a passive observer of life to an active participant. You reclaim power over your life. And when people see that you take responsibility for your circumstances, their respect for you grows. The people we admire, strength over excuses. Think of someone you admire, maybe a friend, a mentor, or a public figure. Chances are, they've faced serious challenges. Maybe they lost a job and had to start over. Maybe they had a painful breakup but didn't let it define them. Maybe they struggled financially but found a way to improve their situation. What makes them admirable isn't what happened to them, it's how they responded. Instead of blaming the world, they took action, they learned, adapted, and grew. These are the people we respect because they show resilience, strength, and accountability. Instead of wasting time feeling sorry for themselves, they ask, "What can I do next? How can I improve?" This mindset not only helps them grow personally, but it also makes them attractive to others. People want to be around those who radiate strength, confidence, and responsibility. Breaking free, recognizing your own patterns. Now, take a moment to reflect. Are there areas in your life where you've played the victim? Have you blamed others instead of taking responsibility? It's not easy to admit, but the first step to breaking free from this habit is recognizing it in yourself. Once you see where you've been giving away your power, you can start reclaiming it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I use this challenge to grow?" This simple change in mindset transforms your life. It shifts you from being a passive victim to an active participant in your own success. The harsh reality: life moves on without you. Here's the truth: if you stay in a victim mentality, the world doesn't wait for you. While you're stuck in blame and excuses, other people are building relationships with those who take responsibility, advancing in their careers by learning and adapting, overcoming setbacks and moving forward. The good news? It's never too late to change. Marcus Aurelius gives us one final lesson: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This means that your greatest challenges can become your greatest growth opportunities, if you choose to see them that way. Your challenge: reclaim your power. Be the person who takes responsibility for their life, faces challenges with courage instead of excuses, finds strength in adversity rather than being defined by it. When you embrace this mindset, you don't just gain the respect of others, you gain a deeper respect for yourself. Before we wrap up, I want to challenge you. Which areas of your life do you need to stop playing the victim in? Drop a comment and let me know. Let's start holding ourselves accountable. And if you found this insight valuable, don't forget to like, share with someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe for more powerful lessons on self-mastery. Together, we can become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Thank you for reading. Stay strong and see you in the next article, and don't forget to subscribe to Contemplate Stoicism with the Top Stoic channel.